Hey everyone, welcome to the channel. Today we're going to be talking about the Rogue 3-liter sling from Wandrd. Now I think this sling is primarily targeted towards photographers, but maybe you have an idea to use this as like an everyday carry kind of bag. Whatever your use case for this is going to be, there are some compromises either way. So let's get into the bag by taking a look at just the overall general features. On the front, there's no pockets here. Unlike the 6-liter sling that does have a very thin pocket in the front, there's nothing here. On the bottom, there's some straps. I'll talk more about those later. On the back, you have this really nice plush cushion. There is no pockets, no organization of any kind on the back. You do have a little strap that you can pull out here for when you're wearing this bag crossbody, and that strap will help stabilize the sling. On the top, you have a big open pocket and then 2 organizational pockets. As you can see, I've already got my keys in here. There is a key leash in there. On the top handle, again, I'll talk more about that later. On the inside of the bag, it's just a big open space. Only this one pocket here. And then there is a sleeve on the back wall. In the interior, there's nothing that's happening, just this Velcro removable divider. Okay, so how is it to actually use the bag? I'm gonna grab the X100VI and I'm gonna put that into this slot right here. So that works just fine. If you notice, I put the camera in this way into the bag. That is because there are some compromises when it comes to this bag. And that's gonna be a consistent theme throughout this review, that there are gonna be some compromises. With this interior main compartment, you can see this bag kind of comes down at an angle. You know, it's a little bit wider here at the top, a little bit thinner here down at the bottom. What that means is, depending on the height of your camera, it might not fit the best. For the X100VI, it's a little tight. So for me, I put it this way. I mean, it can also just rest straight down in there, and that works really, really well. If you have a smaller camera than something like an S5iiX, okay, this is a full frame camera. It does have a pretty large viewfinder here. It is kind of a tall camera. So this camera cannot fit going in that way. An A7 IV is a little bit shorter than this, so it might be able to fit. Or maybe something like a Mark IV camera, an A6700. I do have a photo here that I'm going to put up on screen of a FX30 fitting pretty well in there. So if you're going to put something this way, just be aware of the measurements of the interior of the bag and then compare that with the height of your camera. My S5iiX can fit down like that, and that works pretty well. But then you don't really have much room. I can just squeeze in a lens. So if it's your intention to maybe take a camera with a small camera with another lens, you absolutely can do that. It's just that for me, for this particular set of gear, it's a little bit of a squeeze. If you do have a bigger camera, you plan to carry it in your hand, then you can actually just put a couple of lenses in here. And just for reference, this is the standard prime lens that Panasonic makes, and it can fit 2 of these lenses pretty comfortably, no problem. All right, now let's talk about actually using this bag as like an EDC bag. Again, we're gonna be looking at some compromises here because there's really not very much organization to speak of on this bag. On this back pocket here, what I found it useful for was maybe like a tablet. Like an iPad mini is really, really essential for me. And at first glance, it kind of seems like it's not going to fit. But the fabric down here, there is like a little bit of give to it. You know, so if you just push it down a little bit, then you absolutely can zip that up. So iPad mini, tablet that is similarly sized, you can fit it in here. If you're gonna put something large like a tablet into this pocket, then it does leave you pretty limited options for what you can fit back here. And again, like these are two really big pockets. There's no mesh back here. There's no like straps to hold like some SD cards or something like that. So again, what I found was this is a good place to maybe put like a chapstick, and then maybe a wallet fits in there just fine. You could also do something like a small pocket knife, and this is really, really cool. This is the James brand Elko. Review of this coming soon. So I'm able to slip that in there as well. Now on the other side, what I like to do is put my keys, although my keys are pretty thin, pretty minimal. So I am able to slip those in there. And with all of those things, again, just gonna push down just a little bit. I can slip it in there. So that does work. Now, with the main compartment, we're gonna put the X100VI, and I'm gonna get this little divider, and I'm gonna put that in there just to keep it nice and tidy. In the interior here, there is a pen loop. So I've got the Lamy Safari sitting in there. Then maybe like some sunglasses, and that pocket is pretty much done. Then on the left side here, maybe some earbuds, maybe an extra battery. And then you still have some space there to play with. And on the back panel, this is, to be honest, kind of an awkward back panel, and I'll get to why here in a second. But I'm gonna put the power bank there, and then the charging cable there. Now, the reason why this is a little bit of an awkward back panel is just like the overall shape of the back panel itself kind of comes down at a point like this. So it opens up more towards the top and then goes down to a point at the bottom. It also is attached to the back panel of the bag. So if you have things that are then pushing out like this, you can tell like it's now pushing into the camera and kind of pushing it forward a little bit, which now that I've really got this packed out, closing that is fine. It works, but you know, I am starting to like really reach the limit where I kind of need to hold it in place a little bit to get it to zip up properly. So if you plan to use this for EDC, you've got to be okay with the fact that there's really no pockets. If you're someone who really likes to have, you know, a place for everything, you know, maybe you've got a pocket here and you've got a little mesh something there, and somewhere to hold your wallet, like that's not what this bag is. You've really got to adapt to this bag rather than the bag adapting to you and how you like to carry stuff. Okay, so I'm gonna take out a couple of these items. So with that in mind, let's talk about what it's like to actually wear the bag. So overall, the bag is really comfortable. And I'll start by talking about the strap. The strap is really big, nice padding here, really comfortable. It's nice that they have a feature here that lets you remove the strap. That's great. But again, here's where a couple of compromises come into play. So this material here that's on this bag, it's not the greatest. If you can think about like any kind of standard student backpack or maybe like a JanSport backpack, something like that, like that's what this material is. Not that there's anything wrong with it. It's totally functional. It works. It's reliable. I don't have any worries that this is going to fail on me or anything like that. It's not the nicest. Another compromise here, while this is really nice that this is removable, because that means that you can, while you're holding the sling, you can very quickly just get it on and off just by removing this. The compromise here being that this is a proprietary system. So if you had a thought in your mind of like, okay, well maybe their strap isn't the best, that's fine. I have a strap that I like and I can put it on this bag. that's not really going to happen unless you take off this plastic piece here and then you're just using this strap here. This is a completely proprietary system to Wandrd. Now going to the top of the bag, I love that there is a nice big strap handle here. Because of the size of this bag, this is not something that I necessarily want to wear all day long. You know, maybe if I'm getting in and out of a car, like I take it off and I place it down in center console, or I place it down in the seat or something like that. And if I'm getting out, I just grab it and go. That's really great. But again, it's that same nylon material that is being used on the other parts of the bag, and it's fine. It does what it's supposed to do. It's just not the best quality of material. And then the same thing down here, same material. I will mention that these bottom straps are really, really generous in the space that they give you. I would say anything in circumference of like 3 to 3.5 inches, you can absolutely fit in here. So water bottle, an umbrella, definitely a tripod. What I was able to do is I was able to roll up really tight, like a very small, light zip up hoodie. And then I was able to put it in there. And that worked out great. So love that there are these straps down at the bottom. Now, something I mentioned is a little bit of the bulkiness of it, and that's going to play into like the comfort of how it is to actually wear. I will say that this is very comfortable to wear both in sling and fanny mode. You know, normally like wings that you see here means that this is a fanny pack, but because you have these rotational points on this strap, it does a really great job of kind of adapting to how you're holding this. So I prefer a chest sling, and it's very comfortable in that mode. Now, the thing that may not be as comfortable wearing on a chest is, again, the bulkiness. You just got to be aware that whatever you put in here is just going to weigh it down more, and then you've got like a pretty thick bag sitting out on your chest. So this is probably more of like a back sling that maybe you wear on your chest for short periods of time. But speaking of the bulkiness, I will say like another downside about this bag is it's a little big for a 3-liter sling. I have other 2-liter slings that I can, like everything that I put into this bag, I can fit into those 2-liter slings. But this is much, much bigger. So that's a downside, but what you get in return is you get a very padded out bag. I would say like every part of this bag just feels really thick and chunky. And on the back, you have all this really thick plush padding. What that means is if you have a camera inside of here, I'm fully confident that if I were to fall, or maybe if I were to drop the bag and I've got a camera in here, it's gonna protect it. So you're kind of trading off a little bit of compactness for protection of whatever gear you might have. Okay, so let's wrap this up and let's talk about just like some final thoughts and who I think this is for, what I would use this for personally. If I was going on like a little road trip, I think this bag would be great for that. Just having the handle, you know, getting in and out of a car is great. And I didn't even mention the handles here on the side. Those are great for when you have it on your back and you're needing somewhere to grab the bag and kind of pull it around to your front. And it also provides like another anchor point for, you know, maybe just carrying in your hand just like this. So all the grab points on here, I think make it great for a travel bag. The fact that I can fit an iPad mini back here along with some of my daily carry essentials like wallet, keys, earbuds, things like that, I think that is a huge, huge plus. And then having a really nice protected interior for a camera. You know, this I think works really well as like a minimal carry kind of situation for a photographer or for a videographer. Now, what you might not like about the bag is, as I've mentioned a few times here, is the various compromises with it. Those being the material. You know, if you don't like the strap, you are stuck with it. Not that it's a bad strap, It's just some of the materials could use some improving. And then on the interior, there being a lack of organization. Like I mentioned earlier, you're gonna have to get creative in how you carry things in this bag. Or to a certain extent, you just gotta be okay with things just floating around and not exactly having a precise spot to put them. So if you think that you can get through some of those little cons of this bag, overall, I think this is a great bag. It looks really cool. It's got a lot of great features that not many bags in this size have, even though this is a little bit bigger than the average 2 or 3 liter sling. I think this can work really well in a lot of different scenarios, given that you understand what you're getting into and what some of the drawbacks of the bag are going to be. All right, well, that's it for this one. If you have any comments, questions about this Wandrd bag, or maybe you want me to review something else in the future, hit me up in the comments and let me know. Thanks for watching.